Our relationship is based on what I can give to you. Labor, votes, the gains that I gained have rarely benefited me. I just want to be completely free, but if I leave it to you, I ain't never gonna be. Until you see that my people make the world go round. You don't want us to corral. You don't want us to protest. You don't want us to kneel. You want painted letters on the streets. You want to create empty holidays. You want conversations, summits, and town hall meetings. You want lost idols erected in the streets. You want reminders of subjugation, segregation, separation. You tell us don't rebel, but we won't stop. You don't want us to protest, but we can't stay repressed. You tell us don't kneel, but your knees are on our necks. You just want everybody to just calm down. We want freedom, we want freedom, we want freedom, we want freedom, we want equality and equity. We want that mule upgraded to horsepower. We want our money that was stolen from the Freeman's Bank. We want that money back with the interest. We want Central Park and Wall Street back. We want back everything that you stole from us. We want the world to go round for us. Yes, we want you to stop stealing our children's lives. My people make the world go round. We want you to stop stealing our children's lives, our children's lives, our children's lives, and their future and our legacy. We want you to stop claiming our legacy as your own. We built that. We invented this. We improved all the rest. We want it now. We want you to make us. We don't want you to make us wait. How long will it take for you to help our people liberate? How long will it take? This relationship between you and me must come to an end. And now we know is that my people make the world go round. They make the world go round. They make the world go round. This doctrine that does not suit you and me, but my people.
People make the world go round.
My people make the world go round. My people make the world go round.
People make the world go round. People make the world go round. People make the world go round.
Let's sing that, y'all. That has never, ever been done live. Thank you all for listening to it.
Let's go.
Inviting me to it.
Peace and blessings. This is Kamal Imani, and let me read this paper. Sister's like, don't you mess up.
Kamal Imani is bashful, I see.
Oh yeah, I am special.
Bashful, not special.
Oh, I'm special too. Bashful only with some people, only with very real
Okay.
people,
Okay.
and very. I don't know. The word will come. I am a poet. The word will come. I'll get back to with that word. But I'm going to introduce you now. I'm very silly at times too. All right. This is Kamal, and I have the privilege to host the poet laureate of Paterson, New Jersey. She is also an activist, queen mother. And actually, Queen is at the end of her name, and that's what's messing me up. But Talena LaChelle, Queen. And then I saw VB. Can I say that out loud?
What did you see? Say it.
It's down there. Vivian Baptiste.
Oh no, you know what happened? Let me change that. I was being an actor in a play.
Oh,
I was being an
oh,
actor in a play, and it's still there from that time. That's a character that I was
wow.
playing. And so I'm no longer Vivian Baptiste. That
Oh,
show is.
but you could
And
be.
so, right, so Vivi, that's so funny. We have to talk about it now because that was there. Viv, I am the program coordinator for the Paterson Public Library's The Big Read. It is a grant from the National Endowment of the Arts, and I get to serve as the program coordinator for that. In that role, and this is not in my bio, in that role, I wanted so much to see this text come to life and be able to reach a wide variety of learners, right? I'm an
Mhm.
educator as well.
Right.
And so I teach language arts. And what I know is that some people are visual learners, some people are audio learners, some people are kinesthetic learners. And so I wanted to be able to touch all of those audiences. And so I really wanted to produce the play. And in that role of producing the play, the director, who did a fantastic job, his name is Lewis Cole, he said, man, you really, really should play Vivian Baptiste. You're perfect for her.
Mhm.
And I was not sure, but it turned out that I wound up playing Vivian Baptiste. And it was a virtual production. And
That's
so that's
nice.
why my name still said Vivian Baptiste.
Ah,
Yeah. And it
that's
was
nice.
wonderful. She is the book is called A Lesson Before Dying. We're still reading it as a city. And Vivian Baptiste is the love interest of the main character, Grant Wiggins.
Uh-huh.
She is a young woman in her 30s. I'm a little older than that, a little
No.
bit, yes. And so she is it's 1948, and she is in Louisiana.
Mhm.
And so she has a little bit of an accent, right? And
Oh,
so, but today I am not Vivian Baptiste,
okay.
a school
See?
teacher in Louisiana. Today I'm Talena LaChelle Queen. It's just so slight
Okay.
because she's an educator.
Okay. Got it. Got it. And I was going to ask you because of that. I was like, oh, are you Haitian? But no, I don't think you're Haitian now.
No, I'm not Haitian, but what Vivian and I had in common is that our families, my family is Bowie from the Louisiana area. And if you can read in my book called 14, and it traces the history of my both my mother's and father's family.
Wow.
It is a creative nonfiction, and what we learn in that text, I wrote it in 2014, is that the Bowie family exists because the French people first came up to the northern United States when they were colonizing, and that space near like New Hampshire, Vermont, up very, very, very north, was then a struggle between the French and the Spanish. The
Mm.
Spanish won that encounter. That war is called two different things depending on which country you're standing in when
Mhm.
you discuss it. And then the Spaniard says, if you stay here, you must make allegiance to France, to Spain. And the French people are very proud. They was like, absolutely not. So they
Mhm.
left and they went to Louisiana. And then that place, became, very French influenced, right?
Right. Right.
And so those white French, Anglo-French
Mhm.
persons also had slaves, and they also had relationships with people of color in that area. And so my family is that mix in culture from Anglo, the Anglo-French and the
Right.
African
Right.
folks. And because of the way the history is a hard history, African American people took the surnames of the Anglo persons. We didn't get to
Mhm.
keep our names. And so my father is from that area, his heritage, Bowie. And so me and Vivienne have that in common.
Okay, okay. And the Creole would be more of a European influence. Is that correct?
Yeah, because because the Creole is from the French, and so French is France, right?
Right,
And so
right.
there's no doubt about that. So,
Okay.
but what makes it very special is the African influence. We make everything better, right?
That's true.
Yes.
That's true. Now you're making me definitely want to go to New Orleans because I haven't been there yet. All that culture that I hear about.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
actually haven't spent any time in New Orleans. I just, outside of scholarship, I've done a lot of research
Hmm.
in order to understand the cultural significance of what it means for us to have intersectionality between our race, our culture. And we often, as African American people, lean on our African culture and our African history. But the truth is, about so many of us, you and I are similar in complexion, there is some Eurocentric aspects of our history
That's
that
true.
we often don't even discuss. So
Right.
we are descendants of both the slave and the master.
That's an excellent point because it's kind of like not being totally truthful with yourself.
Hmm.
You know, um, like I believe because of my slave name that I have Irish in my family, and I know I have Native American, and I
Mm-hmm.
know I have African,
Mm-hmm.
and but I do know that the Irish like to fight, and I'm a fighter.
Look, and you are so proud of it. I saw that smile pop up even before you said the words.
But that's because my father was a Golden Gloves boxer, and he
Mm-hmm.
was like a Muhammad Ali character. He's still here physically, but he has dementia. But he was just like Muhammad Ali's personality. So I'm not a fighter like him, but I know I have it in me. So that's why you saw that I probably was thinking about my father too at the
Mm-hmm.
same time. I see you're very perceptive.
That's important.
What is your zodiac sign?
I'm Taurian.
Oh, Malcolm X. That's what I think of because that was my first Taurus mentor too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he's the 19th, and I am May 4th.
Okay.
And you know, I used to try to say, oh, your birth sign doesn't matter. But, the more I've learned, the more it just isn't so, right? There are so many things about being Taurian and being May 4th in particular. There are other zodiac cultures, right? There's the Asian zodiac culture. So we have the ox, the
Mm,
the pig, the snake, right?
okay. Right.
Right. So when you see that Chinese culture, the year of the horse, right?
Hmm.
And so in the Chinese zodiac, I am the ox, which is
Wow.
what? A bull, right? The
Mm,
same as this Western zodiac. And then there's a Native American zodiac as well. And then a Native American zodiac, I am the buffalo, right?
okay.
They're all the same.
Right.
And so
Right.
so there's nothing rising, nothing falling. I'm just
Hmm.
that particular sign
Exactly.
through and through. And all of the descriptions that you read about those things it's very, very accurate. And so I
Hmm.
get to laugh when I see those Facebook posts that says, don't mess with Taurus, or this Taurus is this, or Taurus is that. It's hilarious. And it's funny because it's true.
Did you ever look into the Metuneto or the Kemetin for your zodiac?
I have, but I don't remember it.
Okay,
I
that's going
don't
to be
remember it.
interesting.
But what I know is that every single um, ideology that I've looked at about myself, including numerology,
Right.
um, is very similar. And I think it's different if a person was born at a different time on a different day, right? Inside
Right.
Taurus, right? So a
Right.
person like Malcolm, born on the 19th, he's not going to be Buffalo. He's not going to
Mm,
be ox.
okay.
He's not going to be antelope, right?
Mhm.
He's going to
Okay.
be something different. But for all of us who happen to be born the year and the day and the time that I was born, we have that that linear, that we have that alignment.
Right.
And
And
that
you're a number 4 person, and that's just going by the number without the whole year and everything. And
yes.
I'm a number 8 person. I'm Virgo. I'm
Mhm.
September 17th. So
Mhm.
everything I look at ends up being a 8, or analytical, and just the same characteristics. My zodiac and my numbers, they
Mhm.
like match up. It's something else. I'm like, well, I can't get away from this. So it's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know how we got all the way here,
I
but
know.
because you you are very masterful in digression, I noticed. So
But I can come back though.
no, right, the whole number for me is 11. And 11 is a master number, and people who wind up with 11 have to make a choice. Are you 11 or are you 2? Right?
Ooh.
And so for me, you know, even from very young, learning about this, I'm near 50 now, right? So, I said, oh, I'm definitely not 2. I'm 11. Some other people who are 11, I mean, how could you not want it? Is Martin Luther King is 11,
Right,
right?
right.
Um, I think like Master Lee is 11,
Mm,
right?
mm.
And so I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely not 2. I'm 11. If
So
you make a
that,
decision that you're 11, you got to live that. You got to be a creator. You got to be
wow.
a person who creates paths for others. You have to be stand in leadership. You have to be held accountable not only to yourself but to masses, right? For people that you know and people you don't know.
You
So
just you
I'm
just
trying
taught
to
me
vibrate
something.
11.
You just taught me something. I thought about it before, but not until you just not deeply. The 8, because I added it up right away, but it's really 1 and 7. So 17. And the 1 has meaning and the 7 has meaning. And that could take me on a whole nother thought like pattern. The knowledge, the 1 and the 7, the God or spirituality, taking
Yeah,
that
I
path.
think the rule is only double numbers
Okay.
get that. So
Okay.
if you're a double number, if you are 2 and 2, then you get to choose.
Okay.
The 2 and 2 is 4. So it's
Well,
we'll do
I'm
some
breaking the
research
rule. I
independently of
want to
this
break the
conversation.
rule because I
You want
want
to
to,
break? You know what? And probably a 8 person is a rule breaker. Is that right?
yeah, probably. We
You're
sure
like, you
risk
know what?
takers.
I'm just gonna make whatever rule I want right here.
Yeah, we're
Listen,
risk
Kamal, you can do
takers.
whatever you want.
We are risk takers. That's it. I'm a crazy risk taker. I'll be like, why did I do that? Why am I about to do that?
You just like, I don't know, just go with it. Just go with it. Yeah, that's very Virgo nature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's see here. I saw some things in your bio about Washington, and then it was back over here on the East Coast. Like, did you were you raised partially in Washington?
I was born and raised in Paterson, New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Washington State to do my graduate studies at the University of Washington. And when I got there, I got a little distracted, right? I had a daughter, I bought a business, I bought a couple of houses, and I was doing all kinds of stuff, becoming part of the community stuff. And I said, what am I doing? I came here to do graduate studies. Now, the reason why I didn't do it when I first got there is because I was very early in the pregnancy with my daughter who's 20. And so I had to I was on bed rest. I couldn't do anything, right? And so when I came out of bed rest, I bought a business and didn't go to graduate school. And so I decided to just finish what I came here for. And that was to do the graduate studies. I did 2 graduate degrees there. And then I decided that it was time to come home because it wasn't my intention to be there forever. And I was already there longer than I had intended to be there. And I love that space. I loved it. And it could very much be home. And I do really consider it home as much as I consider this place home.
Okay.
And so what I really felt like when I was in Washington State, like if I wanted to give back, I had to go back.
Right.
And so
Right.
I came home. And so I'm trying to give back to this space. It's very intentional, my being in Paterson, New Jersey, in particular, where I was born and raised, and the place that molded me. My son asked me, why did you choose Paterson, right? Because he's born in Seattle. And I said, well, this is where I was born. This is where I know people. This is where this is what shaped me, right? Yes, yes.
When
You
I
can be in
think of
Jersey
home,
or you can be home. Yeah.
you know, that's one of my favorite songs. When I think of home, Stephanie Mills, it makes me
One of mine
cry.
too. Yeah. Do you play it on loop and try to get to know it better?
What, that song?
Yes.
You know what? This is what I do. See, now that's a good question. I put YouTube on when she was in concert with Sinbad. You know that one?
Yes, I do.
And it's usually late at night when I do it. And I play it a few times and I just cry. Because it makes me think of my mother, my grandmother, my ancestors, Black people, everything. And it just brings it all out of me.
That was a pretty powerful performance.
Yes, it was.
Really, really very powerful performance.
Yes, it was.
We got to thank Sinbad for doing that.
That's
Sinbad,
right.
if you're watching, thank you for that concert. You threatened that it was going to be the last one.
And then, yeah, the people and the crowd, they were everybody's like in unity and the spirit. It was just so beautiful.
We may never do that again.
I know. Well, we're going to have to try to do something like it again. That's probably why we're meeting right now. Because I heard so much about you, Brother Sadiq. He was always talking about you, Sister Talena. And I'm like, how come I don't see her? I come around the masjid, I come around the cultural center, I don't see her. And you said, she was just here. She ought to be here. And I'm like, man, I want to be there. What's up? What's up? You know?
Well, thank you for that. He and his wife are amazing persons. I appreciate them a great deal.
Yes.
And he has done an incredible job of fostering a space for creativity in the Fourth Ward and here in Paterson. When I first got home, I was like, all right, I'm home, right? Because I wanted to come back and give back, right? When I first got home, I was like, okay, I want to come back and we're going to have a monthly poetry thing. So you can't just come in and just be like, all right, I'm here, right? And so, I learned from Carter G. Woodson. I said, let me find out what's already going on, right? I don't want to create dissension. I want to find out what's going on. Right. And so I found his program, and so I started to promote what he was doing. Okay. So, and then, I would come and do the set there and have people come there, which I thought was the right thing to do. It's the culturally responsible thing to do to celebrate what already exists. And he and all of the people, and I understand you who created that space, you created something foundational for what I was able to do after you all. Great. Right?
We didn't even know, right?
No, you can't know. You just have to be a good listener. You do what is in your purpose, and you can't do more than that. You just you do what's in your purpose. And I gotta tell you, sometimes I'm always trying to move in my purpose. So when I get opposition, I'm like, don't you know that I can't not do this? Right. I have no choice. I have no choice. I have to do it.
You sound like me, yeah.
Right. And so I appreciate the work that you all have done in creating a place for arts in our city. And so when I got there, people were just ready, right? They were ready. They knew where to be, what to do. And we would bring crowds into that space. So
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
So going forward, I want to be around also. Make sure I don't miss you. But when did you become a poet? Born poet?
I was born a poet.
Yeah.
I started writing recognizable poetry at 5 years old, which means what? Now, it means I already know how to read and I already know how to write. Because now I'm doing some creative expression at 5 years old.
Wonderful.
So my grandfather was a poet, and I
Mhm.
would read some of his work. He's an award-winning poet, and I would look at his work. He's Charles Harris,
Mhm.
and it was, I was very heavily influenced by him and teachers who would encourage the writing. And I met, encourage. I mean, like second grade, third grade women.
Right, that's
Like,
nice.
they go say, write a story, and then I could write a story, and they would go, did you do this? Like,
Mm.
what just happened?
Mhm.
And so that encouragement is good, right? Whatever we
Yes.
encourage young people to do, they will
Mhm.
do. And into high school, I went to a performing arts high school at Rosa Parks. And by then I knew I was a writer. And so I entered as a writing major. And I had amazing educators there that helped me to hone my craft. And then I went on to, it just kept going, right? So I have a master's degree in creative writing and poetics.
I see that. That's wonderful. Congratulations.
Thank you, it was work.
And how did you become an activist?
I think that was probably high school too.
Mm.
We had a student government, and we would, as a matter of fact, where Sadiq's and you have that space.
Mhm.
My uncle was the imam, and I would go I
I'm
would go
listening.
there every day after school. Right?
Wow.
Every day after school, we would leave the high school and go there. And so there was exposure to Black people in history who were activists, right?
Right.
And so at the high school, we would find whatever our problem was, whatever we wanted to change in our school district. And we actually one time marched from Rosa Parks High School over to the board meeting that was
Mm.
held at Eastside High School. We had our
Mm.
meeting. They knew we were coming, just like a whole crowd of us.
Mm.
And we walk into the space. And to bring it back to poetry, that day, and I didn't yet have a strong voice,
Mm.
one of the persons said, the students from Rosa Parks are here and they just left their own meeting. And what came out today is a poem by Talena LaChelle Queen. And I think she's here. Would you come up and read this for us? And I was like,
Mm.
what? I don't do that. I'm a writer, not a reader. I don't talk. Not in the front of all of these people. I was terrified. But I read the poem. And I don't have that issue now. Like, I can talk to anybody anytime. It doesn't matter how many people there are there. But that is about self-esteem. It's about confidence. It's about all different levels of assurity that one has to have in order to really be comfortable in their body.
Yes. Excellent.
Yeah, you have to be comfortable there.
Right. I admire your strength and your self-esteem and just your confidence and self-actualization. I see it, and I was off.
You just saying that.
Okay.
Go ahead, Kamal. Go ahead.
She messing with me. Watch this. Watch the Virgo. Watch the Virgo. Okay, watch the Virgo. Check this out. See, you are not a shea butter queen. Like a lot of sisters now that have a head wrap, that have an ankh, they're like inconsistent.
Mm.
And it's a lot of it is image, but they don't have that real understanding or that self-actualization. And you can see it. There's a lot of brothers too, especially when you see this conscious community fighting. Like it's like when Rakim said, "A little knowledge is dangerous," which is said before him, but a little knowledge is dangerous. A lot of us now have that. See, like the background you just mentioned that you came from, there's layers of history and culture and understanding. But a lot of us might have just read a book or two and heard a speech, and we're out here rah rah rah. And I'm uncomfortable with that. But I know that people have to start somewhere, and hopefully they make it. But I just feel that some of them aren't gonna make it. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, and when we recognize that it's a possibility that some of them might not make it, it's our duty to pull them along, right? Not fighting along, but like say, some people might just need a little bit of micro correction, right? You're not gonna say, brother, you eating pork and doing this? Like that's not it, because he gets to choose what goes into his body, right?
Right.
But you might have a micro correction that's something like, let's praise what is done well. What you are saying is true. There is no leader that I can think of. There is no leader that I can think of that we praise in whole, right? We say Malcolm was amazing, except this thing, right?
Right.
Even in Islam, we say, oh, the Elijah Muhammad, we praise him, except this thing over here, right? Or even the brother minister Farrakhan, oh, he's this, except this thing right here, right? So none of us are completely without flaw. And so I think it's important when we see someone who is just almost there, that we don't make them a devil, right? We say, oh, they need a micro correction to bring them further over to whatever side. And everybody's mind is in various stages of childhood. Everybody's mind is in various stages of infancy.
Definitely.
And so while I might be very, very strong in history or language, I'm not as strong in something, right? Auto mechanics, right? Right?
Me too.
Right. So maybe I can change the oil or change the tire, but I'd rather use the AAA. I don't want to mess up my nails because I like, whatever. So we have all of these different strengths. But when we talk about scholarship and even people like W.E.B. Du Bois, right? He's amazing, but there's this thing, right? This little thing that just makes us more human. So if we see somebody, I encourage you, if we see somebody that we think might not make it, they might not make it, but we might want to try to just make a little, as least of a judgment, micro correction in order to helping that person helps the whole culture.
Thank you for the micro correction. And that's good because with me, I could be very strong. I could be a very strong critic. I'm my hardest critic on myself, but I could be a very strong critic. And sometimes even now, when people pass away, like friends of mine and close family, and people tell me, oh, this person really loved you. This person, you were the big brother and the mentor. And I'm like, I didn't even realize that, because somewhere I think I put a little boundary there. I don't receive all that they're trying to give me. So it's good for me to always check myself and try to humble myself a little bit.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. That's a powerful statement, that we might all remain introspective about the effect that we have on people. And sometimes you're not supposed to know, right? You just make a deposit and then you move on.
Right, because I'm not trying to get credit for it. You know what I mean?
No, it's just is what it is.
Yeah, yeah. It's just trying to help somebody, or just trying to love somebody. That's it. Yeah. So, what else? Because I meant to write some stuff down, but then I said I don't have to write anything down for this sister right here. So, yeah, I want to get back to the woman issue real quick. Let me see. So the sister I could tell that you're very, very strong. What do we need to do? I know men, first of all, I know men are a major cause in women's issues, of course, or the effect on women. Like the minister says, like every time you see, and I know it's not every time, but whenever you see a woman that's down, it's like a black man that contributed to that, right?
Mm.
But then a lot of sisters, now they have like low self-esteem. And like, what do you say to a sister that is trying to make it, but she's struggling with low self-esteem?
Well, first of all, I want to ask women to take some ownership about why other women might have low self-esteem. Women are very judgmental. We're learning to be more supportive of each other. You see a lot more of, women straightening each other's crowns kind of attitude. You see a lot more of women celebrating each other's skin tones and the variety within. You see a lot more women being size inclusive, right? In their expression of ourselves. And I
Right,
think that's where it starts, right? That first of all, talking to women, you're not broken. You're not broken. And somebody right now saying, I don't know what she talking about, I ain't broken, right? It is not true, right? Because every part of you is intentional. It's intentional. Even I met a woman, she had a whole life of she started using a lot of drugs, right? And it was just like, why is she doing that? She doesn't have to do that. Like, who knows
right,
what have to means? But it turned out that her life's work, she was clean and healthy. She was educating people who had that same history. And she's masterful at it. Amazing. And I said, golly, you know what? If she didn't have that experience, she wouldn't be able to be as effective as she is. So God said, I want you to have this struggle so that you can help me do my work over here,
right,
right? And that's not a mistake. That's the problem. People have this idea, women have this idea, men too, but we're talking about women have this idea that something about us is a mistake, and it's not,
hmm,
right? And when
right,
you accept that you are intentional, that your life is divine, that you are purposeful, and you will then be able to live a purposeful life on purpose. And then that self-esteem thing comes along with it, right?
right, right.
Like, oh, um, someone may say, oh, I'm having a bad day. Are you really, right? It's a matter of
Right,
interpretation,
right,
right? It's a matter of how your brain is wired.
right.
And I think I have the kind of wiring that I can be like, oh, it's not a bad day.
Hmm.
Like it's
Exactly.
like if I had an accident, like I'm getting a new car.
Right.
Woohoo! If I walk out with my body
Hmm.
and my mind and my health intact, there's a reason that I walked out of there, right? And that is not to say that a person who didn't walk out of there is having a problem. They have, there's something important about that moment too.
True.
And so I just think let me say this as a qualifying statement. A friend of mine tells me that I have a disease level of high serotonin. There are some people who are clinically depressed because they have low brain serotonin levels. And she thinks that my serotonin levels are just really high. So I'm just like, it's great, everything's good. That doesn't mean I don't get upset, because I do.
Hmm.
But the point is that is it purposeful? Can you put down what upsets you? Can you put down what makes you upset? Can you put down, can you say, I'm gonna have this moment? Give yourself, look, I got 10 minutes to feel like this, and then I still gotta do what I have to do if
Yes.
I'm gonna be in my purpose. So sisters, you know what? Celebrate each other. Surround yourself with people who love you. They don't have to look like something. They don't have to be a certain size. They don't have to wear
Right.
fashion. They don't have to be,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
divas.
That's serious.
They just have to love you. That's it. That's the only qualification.
That's right. That's right. Wow. God told me the other morning when I woke up, this way said, take out the trash. And it ain't talking about that physical trash. I just did a video on it. And it's just what you were saying. Like all this stuff we're holding on to doesn't really matter.
No.
It's not you. You know, you is what's inside. It's the love, it's the talent, it's the intelligence. So shake that stuff off. And my cousin always says, it ain't that serious. You know,
Correct. You know what I also have? I have anger management. Do you know how President Obama, he used to have an anger interpreter, right?
I didn't
When
know
President
that.
Obama, during like the correspondence dinner, he had this
Mm.
comedian come and be his anger interpreter.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Oh,
He had
yeah,
to do
yeah,
that. I
yeah,
think
yeah,
it's like
yeah.
a comedian pill, I think.
Right.
So hilarious. President Obama is speaking,
Right.
very seriously about things that matter. And then this guy comes in and he's like,
Yeah.
saying the angry interpretations. I have a couple of people in my life who I can call and say, this happened, that happened, and they will give the whole angry interpretation of it. And we can laugh.
Mhm.
And then I go on with my work because it is expressed. It's just
Right.
the energy was expelled, even if it didn't come directly from my body. We dealt with it, and now we have to go back to our purpose.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. And what do you say to about the way a Black man should approach and deal with, for lack of a better word, a Black woman? Like, what should he be? Uh-oh, you freezing up. Okay, go ahead.
No, I'm not frozen.
No, you
What'd
good
you
now.
say?
Yeah, no, I have froze for a second.
Did I just go like this? No, that was my self-freezing. That's me, like, I might do that, like I'm calculating.
Mm-hmm.
Black men are, I'm searching for the right words because, for one, I love you all.
Thank you.
Right? And honor you all and all of your different ways of expression. And it's not really fair, first of all, I want to challenge the question, right? It's not really fair to say all Black men don't treat Black women well, right? That is not true.
No.
I have in my life, on purpose, an amazing array of Black men who I know for certain will go out of their way to make sure I'm good. And I honor that by making choices in my life that don't put them in danger, right? So I know that if I'm in a situation with Kamal Imani and Kamal Imani, I do something that makes Kamal Imani want to curse me out, I know that my brothers are coming to see you, right?
Aww.
Right?
I ain't trying to curse you out.
No, I'm just saying because you're here. I don't want to use an example of somebody not in the room. And so
if I'm trying to. Well, okay, I'm sorry. Like you said, I'm good at diversion.
But I'm just saying, right? So if I know not to put myself in a situation, and that is not to suppress myself, but it is to be tactful. It is to be to move in wisdom, so that you never have to feel like you need to come at me some kind of way. Right? Mm-hmm. And that not only protects me, it protects you and it protects my brothers who I know for certain are going to want to talk about that. Right? Right. And so I think Black men should, in the best of his ability, be treating women like the earth, right? Like the I don't even know the exact words, like with exaltation, right? Yeah. But I also believe that she should be treating him like that.
That's true.
It's easier for a Black man to honor his counterpart when she honors him. Somebody has to come first, though. Somebody has to do it first, right?
Right.
Who is it going to be? That's often the argument. Well, he don't deserve it, she don't deserve it. And what we have to recognize is that we are not in the world alone. With every Black person on this planet comes with him or her, and all of the expressions in between, a whole history from this moment, right? This moment is made possible, like a commercial. This moment is made possible by all of the moments that preceded it, right? So if you are offended by something I say, it's not just my words, it's about what the social construct has made those words mean, right? How I interpret you saying peace queen is related to what I know about the social construct that has you greet me with peace in whatever language that you decide to use in order to greet me with peace, right? And so that's important for us to know. And so I think when you see a Black woman, no matter how she's dressed, no matter what size she is, no matter what her complexion is, you greet her with peace, right? And if she comes to you, when you greet her in peace without returning that peace, then she's not ready.
Right.
And then you need to give her space until she's ready, right?
Yeah.
And what I have found, I would tell my nephews, stop impregnating these young, having fun. You want to go have fun. But what you need to recognize is that you're making a person. It's not just fun, you're making a person. And so the Black woman is the gateway to civilization, right? She passes on the culture. The culture comes from the mother. And if you want to perpetuate a culture, you need to choose the woman, not for fun, not for aesthetics, but the one who you agree with the culture that she's passing on, because that's your seed.
Right.
So I think when you approach a woman, you need to first think about her as the gateway to your whole future in culture, in civilization and culture, because that's what she is, not just, flesh.
That's correct. You said it.
In a nutshell.
That's crystal clear.
Yeah.
Wow.
So what else do you want to talk about today?
Wow, that was deep. Paterson.
Yes.
I'm glad you came back to Paterson. I'm not from Paterson, but what happened is my friends from Teaneck had cousins, Supreme Dan Sue, who's Freddie Wap's label owner. I knew him since we were like 7 years old, 9 years old, and his brothers. And we used to live up on North 7th. So I used to go out there. I used to hang out at the CCP because I loved the hip hop, Cold Crush, and he was probably in there with me. When you were up at the CCP, the Cold
I
Crush.
spent a lot of time in CCP.
Yeah, Dougie Fresh and Crash Crew and all those groups used to come over there. I was out there because I love hip hop, and so that was my initial hanging out thing at Paterson, and then later on, Imam Pasha, when I would just drive through Paterson to go to William Paterson to use their computers and meet people and promote parties and stuff, I'd stop and get my fish sandwiches from him and Sister Zakia and stuff like that. And that's how I ended up really meeting him and meeting Sadiq and everything like that. But one thing, like, I was like, I know the answer, but I was like, how did they have a movie about Eastside? And then up until this point, it's still not doing that much better in my perception and my limited knowledge. And how are certain people starting to take over the politics? Now, I kind of know the answers, but my main thing was like, who is there fighting for the people? And I see that you are one of the people that are.
What we have to do is change the timeline, right? What we have to do is change the news feed. This idea that you have about what is Eastside High School is, pardon, but antiquated, right? That's an old space. Eastside High School is not the Eastside High School from the Lean On Me movie. Eastside High School every single year is producing amazing scholars. Every high school in the city has these specialties. We're producing chess masters, robotics masters, AP graduates, people who are going off to college with $100,000 in scholarship. They have extra money, right? Paterson Public Schools produce amazing scholars. So it's not reported in the same way that you're going to hear about a problem.
Right. And I mean, I've heard like Bloods and all of this stuff going on. So I'm an outsider. You know?
Well, even some of the insiders have this idea because they're an insider from inside their house. And then they're saying things like, there's nothing to do. But let me tell you something. My calendar is very full here in Paterson. There is always something to do. I can't even do all of it, right? So that part is not true. People start talking about, well, there's litter. But guess what? Who does that, right? There is not a single DPW worker or city council person or mayor or chair of a board who is going around spreading litter. It's not happening, right? The people who are complaining about the litter or are creating the litter.
Wow.
Change your culture, change your mind, right? That's an important thing to do. And guess what else? There's a group of people, lots of different groups, I should say, who go around and clean up after the people who make the mess. Wow. Every single weekend, there's somebody outside volunteering to do cleanups. I know this for a fact, right? But do you see that in the news? What you're going to see in the news is such and such was busted doing such and such drugs. There was this many arrests, etc. But what also happened is somebody like Mature Sisters raised money from within the same community and purchased vehicles, these things, so that homeless people can take showers.
That's wonderful.
What also happened is a group like groups are feeding people. They're donating and they're cooking it themselves and going out and make sure people have food. There's clothing drives, right, to take care of people. There's poetry festival, right? I'm trying to make sure y'all hear about that. We're doing amazing things in Paterson. So Paterson is really the center of the universe. And I'm saying that, listen, people like to challenge me on that. But there's some simple things like the United States Constitution was written by William Paterson, right? Who the city is named after. It was first the New Jersey Constitution. So all of this aspiring around the world to be more democratic started here in Paterson, right? And there's lots of stories like that. Great boxers, great singers, great artists, great sport. Paterson has one of the best sports teams, period, in the country, right? Coming out of high school. How many of Tim Thomas being drafted right out of high school? We have our quarterback, right? What's his name?
Oh,
Victor
I'm
Cruz, and we got Victor
yeah.
Cruz and Mr. Adams. We have this Amari right now. He's in high school right now. He's getting accepted to he just got accepted to 5 D1 things last week. And that's because people like Ron Jackson are out there on the field churning out these amazing artists, because there are programs in Paterson where kids can start expressing themselves as athletes at 5, right? So Paterson is producing poets, Paterson is producing actors. But people want to talk about the negative news feed. I don't want you to say those things about Eastside High School anymore. Eastside High School is producing amazing scholars. Does it have any problems? Sure, sure. We're always looking for ways to do things better. And I said this at the in Trenton. I went down to Trenton to talk to them, and I said, listen, I hear you all talking about what more money, what more programs can we give to students who are not excelling. But what I want you to think about too is what more we can do for students who are exceeding the expectations, because there are a lot of them here too. And we need to put our focus on that when we're talking about things like, oh, we don't want to give more money to urban schools, not just Paterson, because it doesn't work. We heard Christy say that. Listen, the same place that is producing students who are not doing well is the same place that is producing students who are exceeding the expectation. It is not necessarily the school system, but the conditions that feed the school system, right? I'm a teacher. I teach 7th grade language arts. All of my students have the same teacher, right? What they bring to the table, what conditions did they wake up with, whether or not they had breakfast this morning, whether or not, they have a family situation that is imperfect, all factors into what they are able to do in the classroom. We can break a lot of those things and we can be the family for them a lot of times, but sometimes it's not enough. Right. So what I can say to you is that Paterson has everything. We have mansions and we have slumlords, right? We have the Great Falls and we have places that need more sprucing up. We need community to come together and go clean those places. So Paterson is actually one of the most amazing places ever. You can be born in Paterson without anything and be completely enriched through public community service to enrich your life, and you can get the things that you need. Because Paterson people want to give stuff to people. We want to help people. And it happens every single day.
See, and I was like wondering who was the advocate for the people, you know what I'm saying? Because it just seems like isn't there like a white mayor and stuff? Like how'd they get a white mayor unless he's Latino?
Well, he's not. He is white passing. He's not actually white. He is he has like a Middle East culture, right? Okay. And he's white passing. And a lot of people say that he's white. But here's the thing about white and black, and you know this, right? It's not a matter of white and black. We prefer to create in our own image. I know I do, right? Right. But whether or not we are successful is not a matter of black or white. It's a matter of righteousness and devilment, right? We want to work with those who are righteous. And sometimes righteous might be Indian. Sometimes righteous might be Native American. Sometimes righteous might be black. It might be white. It might be fill in the blank, right? And what the mistake that we make by being anti-white is that we might be, remember that that's a part of our culture too, right?
Yes, that's right.
The mistake that we make by being anti-white is that we are overly embracing of people who look like us. And some of those people, as you know, may not be righteous.
Right, definitely.
So we may be creating a problem for ourselves in doing that. And so it's important for us to judge people by the color of their hearts, right? Rather than the color of their eyes.
Right. So, because I was thinking in terms of are people not even being politically active, to let someone else, but I see what you're saying. But you're at definitely a new level of thinking for our people.
Well, Paterson is also not, Paterson used to, how do I say this? Paterson's demographic has changed significantly from when I was a child. When I was a child here in the 70s.
I'm going to mute, keep speaking. I'm going to mute you. I hear people coming.
In the 70s when I was here, growing up here, and in the 80s, Paterson, the demographics was more like brown people, black people of African descent. But Paterson now has there's like 72 languages and, you know, 30 plus cultures. And so it's really probably the next to maybe New York City, right? Newark has a lot of diversity too. But Paterson is very diverse. And I think our city council,
I'm sorry about that.
no worries.
Okay.
So I was saying that our city council is a reflection of that diversity. So we have Chowdhury and Cotton, along with Octaguzaman, right? We have a very diverse, and it should be that way. It should be reflective of the people who live here. And so Paterson is not that really very saturated African-American population that it used to be when I was growing up. And I think that's okay. You know, we have people I think are doing like a reverse migration, right? And I'm going to do some history again. There was a time in the United States where a lot of Black people were traveling from the South, the Great Migration, and coming to places like Paterson, Newark, New York, and settling in along the East Coast, looking for jobs, and especially in Paterson, which was foundation as being an industrial city. So that happened, and now with it's no longer an industrial city, and people need different things, so they go to where their needs are. And lots of people are choosing to have a reverse migration back to the South. Right? So there are people who are Pattersonians. You might check with them on Facebook, or from Newark or Passaic, who are still vicariously here, but they are situated in South Carolina or situated in Florida. And I can tell you, I can travel to the United States and I can run into somebody's like, oh, they're from Paterson. It's like, why are you here? And you, even outside of the United States. There was a man, I'll tell you a short story. I like anecdotes, and then I have to do my show. I was at the Erykah Badu concert in Washington State, in Kirkland, Washington, of all places, right? Or maybe it was Bellevue. But anyway, one of these places that don't have a lot of people of color. But Erykah Badu was playing, so we out there. So I have my back turned, and this man came up and tapped me on the shoulder and said, "You went to Rosa Parks High School."
Wow.
I was like, what? Why are you here right now? Why are you here? Well, he and I went to high school together in Paterson. And there we are at Erykah Badu, 3,000 miles away. And so we're migrating back to the South and transplanting to other places in the country. But, you know, once a Jersey person, you're always a Jersey person.
That's true.
And Paterson in particular, Pattersonians love Paterson, right? And you know what? Even those who say they hate it, you have to have a certain kind of love in order to hate, right? You can't have hate without having a certain kind of love, right? Somebody you don't care about cannot affect you, right?
That's
in order to hate you, I've had to have a great love for you first. Yeah.
I thank you. You cleared that up for me, and you micro-corrected me, and I appreciate it. I'm like, oh, got some of the fog out of my brain. That's a good perception of Paterson that you gave me. I'm glad, because now any way that I feel that I can help, you know, I can help with a healthier perception.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And just so you know, I mean, I was born in Harlem. I lived in the Bronx till I was 9, single mother and struggling mother, until my grandmother helped us to get out here to Teaneck and stuff like that. And so my heart has always been in the hood, in the inner city. My heart, because that was just the first thing I ever saw. And and I remember the community. You know, I remember the fire hydrants, the hoses, and the block parties. You know what I mean? And the good and the bad. You know, I remember the good and the bad, but it was still home.
Yeah.
So I always, you know, have a heart of compassion and empathy for our people, you know, because if they feel that they're well to do in the suburbs, I can't do but so much for them, you know. But also, just so you know, before we go, I'm a special education teacher as well, special education, and I've taught, you know, through YCS and through other schools, people from Paterson, Newark, East Orange, etc. So that's where I'm able to give back a lot.
Mhm.
So I want you to know that. But I know you got to go.
Yeah, I
And
do. What I'm going to do right now, and I encourage you to submit to this. Every Friday, I do what's called the Speak series. It started in April for National History Month. We were in quarantine, like shelter in place level quarantine, and I recognize as the poet laureate that I really should be doing something, and so I created the Speak series with my very good friend Rashad Wright, who is the poet laureate in Jersey City. Jersey people got to stick together.
yeah.
And so we did the series, and what happens is people submit their poetry, and then we read it out loud, live.
Okay.
And so you can submit your poems and hear what it sounds like with my voice, or
Wow.
hear what it sounds like with one of our guest voice, right? And what one person helped me with the language for this. It's like a cover, right? So I'm gonna
Right.
do Stephanie Mills cover.
Right.
I'm gonna do a cover of Kamal Imani's poem.
Okay. I
So
want you to do Armchair Revolutionary.
submit it. So
Okay.
how you submit it is you go on Facebook. That's the
Mhm.
only way to do it right now. Well, we have another one that people are still working on, but go to Facebook, go to Speak Series by Word Seed Incorporated. Speak Series by Word Seed Incorporated. And when
Okay.
you get there, we have just like Messenger, the way you message me today,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
you just put your poem right in there. Don't be like other people who want to email it. They want to send it to, my phone. Like, don't do that. I'm only going to read the ones that go to the Speak Series Messenger. It has to be the Speak Series Messenger. Because I can tell
Messenger.
you what, I have 45 messages that I got while I was sitting here with you.
Wow.
And I cannot read all of those things, and I cannot look through all of them in order to get that up. So, family, I would love to read your poetry. It's one of my passions. The Speak series by Wordseed Incorporated is a way that you can have your words read. There are a lot of people like Kamal Imani who is very comfortable reading his own words, but there are a lot of you out there who are writing, but you don't want to read it to anybody, but you also want people to hear it. I can help with that.
Wow, that's
So
deep.
submit your poems and let's share your words with the world. I got to go do
Okay.
the Speak series right now.
Okay.
Blessings to you. Thank you for thinking about me, and thank you, Brother Sadiq. I know you're watching. Brother
Yes, and
Sadiq,
thank you.
for thinking about me and for being strong shoulders for me to stand on.
Talena Lachelle Queen, thank you very much. And I don't have so much to say, but just thank you. And what I was going to say is I know we probably have to do some more of this because this was deep.
Yeah, invite me back.
Okay.
We haven't met. And so when I got your invitation, I was like, who is this? So I went looking to see if I would even be willing to have a conversation.
Okay.
And I saw some great work that you are doing. And I
Thank you.
appreciate you doing affirmations for folks in the morning. That's pretty important work. And you're doing those meditative kinds of things outside of these kinds of conversations. And so I am willing to do
Okay.
so again, to be like, oh, I can be associated with that. It's
Oh,
not
thank
gonna
you.
it's not going to be outside of my purpose. And so I appreciate the work that you are doing. It's very important. And that's the reason why people think that you made an impact on them. And since you're
Mm-hmm.
doing it on video and
Mm-hmm.
in social media, you'll be able to touch so many people
Mm-hmm.
who you will never, ever meet. And
Right.
that's important, right? There's a reason
Right.
why you got that idea. So keep
Mm-hmm.
doing what you're doing.
Okay. Thank you, sister.
Yeah.
Peace, Queen.
Blessings, blessings.
Blessings.